Hey, hello everyone. It's Miss Peterson coming at you via video today because I am out of the office for a conference, but we do have a required session for you today. So I'll be going through the slides via video and then you'll have your exit ticket password at the end so you can complete that exit ticket quiz that is due today. So it is November 6th and we are talking about Chapter 6, The Land Changes Hands. So we're going to go through some note-taking stuff, the Chapter 6 introduction of sorts. We'll have some reminders and then of course that exit ticket password. And welcome to any new students that are watching for the first time. Normally this would be a live session, but as I'm out of the office, I wanted to record something for you to have to complete the exit ticket quiz today. And you might be wondering, well, how do I complete this quiz? It's telling me I need a password. I will give you that password at the end of the session. So make sure you are taking notes and engaged throughout the recording, and then you'll have your material that you need to complete that exit ticket quiz at the end. All right, well, let's get going. We are going to start by talking about note-taking. So those of you that are new, note-taking is something that we practice here in history class. So you should be taking notes for each chapter. Now you can do whatever you want, really. You can take notes in a notebook, you can use a Word document, a Google Doc. I also have templates posted in the course that you can fill out. They're essentially like study guides. You can fill those out and that can be your notes. So however you'd like that to look, but do know that there is a requirement for you to submit a sample of your notes. That next submission is actually not due until January 16th, which seems far away, but it'll be here before we know it. So make sure that you are practicing this skill with each chapter and have a set of notes, a sample, and one chapter's worth should be sufficient for a sample. Make sure you have a sample ready to submit in January 16th. And for quarter 2, we are covering chapters 5 through 9, so it should be from a chapter covered this quarter. All right, so that's a bit about the submission. They are worth 10 points. Again, a sample should be a chapter or more. The next due date is January 16th. So just some tips on note taking. Decide what type of notes you're going to take, but feel free to use a variety of options or strategies. Put notes in your own words. If you don't do this, it's probably not going to make sense to you. And these notes are for you, for your studying, for your comprehension. So make sure that they make sense to you and are in your own words. That being said, make sure you can read your own notes, right? If your handwriting is a bit sloppy, make sure you can read your own writing. Sometimes it helps just to type them. And read the chapter carefully. Right? Read slowly and carefully, or listen to Class Connects, I should say, and listen to Class Connects carefully, and make sure that you're including important details. So at the beginning of each chapter, we have the key terms on page 2, and we also have the look for items on page 2, and these are kind of the important pieces to look for as you're reading the chapter. So they'll have the learning objectives for the entire chapter as well as the vocabulary. And then any new vocabulary, make sure you're highlighting it and researching it as you go. Just some different types of note taking. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but you can make lists and note cards. This is pretty helpful for vocabulary usually. Cornell 2-column is usually the type of note that people are taught in school. So you've got keywords over here on the left and then you're taking notes on them. So you can see this is a science example, but we might have a treaty on the left and then some specific information about that particular treaty. You could do this with the 3 treaties we're talking about this chapter, the 3 main treaties we're talking about this chapter. That's a way you could organize that information. Diagrams are also helpful at times. So this one over here is kind of a who, what, when, where, and why. So this is something you can maybe use. I think it's really helpful like in language arts if you're studying a novel or something. A Venn diagram can be great. So for example, for this chapter we could talk about how Native Americans viewed land over here in the A part. We could talk about how European Americans viewed land over here in B, and then anything that they had in common where those 2 circles overlap. So just compare and contrast is a good way to use a Venn diagram. But just so you know, take take notes however you'd like, however they work for you. I'm not picky about what your notes look like in terms of formatting, but I just want you to practice the skill of note taking. So again, I do have note templates posted for you here in this folder, templates and submissions. They are also the very first item in every chapter content folder. So for chapter 6, you click on that folder to open it up. The notes template should be the first thing that you see. All right, so let's get into our chapter, our new chapter that we are focusing on now, chapter 6, the land changes hands. So we talked about, the fact that after 1812, only U.S. citizens were allowed to trade in the area that we now know as in Minnesota, and the American Fur Company took over the area. But it wasn't just fur that the U.S. government was interested. In fact, fur was kind of on its way out. After gaining independence from Great Britain in 1776, after gaining that independence, the U.S. was looking to expand a bit, and the government wanted to settle the West, including the Mississippi area. But there was somebody already living here. You guys can probably guess it. American Indians, right? The Dakota, the Ojibwe are living in Minnesota. Here is a piece of art, a little bit of art class for you in history class. But this is a painting on Manifest Destiny. And this is this painting I got from New World Encyclopedia. But this is artistic propaganda that's promoting Manifest Destiny, so you can see this female figure here. This is representative of America. So this woman is America, and she's leading people to the West, and she's carrying things with her, right? She's carrying some technology with her, like the telegraph wires you can see wrapped around her arm here, and she's kind of stringing them along as she goes. And you can kind of see more technology following behind her. And then on this part of the painting, it's kind of dark and gloomy, and you can see Native Americans and the bison kind of rushing off of the painting here. So civilizations following this woman, America, and this is representative of the idea of manifest destiny. So some settlers thought it was the U.S.'s destiny to expand throughout the continent. So east to west, north to south, manifest destiny. Some people thought it was the U.S.'s destiny to do this, to expand. And so how is that going to impact Minnesota and the people living here? So before we get to that, we need to identify some changes here and some terms. So just to recap what we looked at with this painting, westward expansion is the idea of manifest destiny, westward expansion. So in the early 1800s, the U.S. supported westward expansion, and some treaties were made with American Indian nations in order to buy land in exchange for cash and goods. So these treaties would open up land for settlement, for more settlement, and the U.S. government began looking at lands west of the Mississippi River. And that leads us to a man known as Zebulon Pike. Pike was sent by the U.S. government to find a spot for a fort, to build a fort. And the fort was initially built for the sake, or they wanted to build it for the sake of enforcing U.S. laws in the fur trade, and also to keep peace between those involved in the trade, the Dakota and Ojibwe. And so Pike asked Dakota leaders to buy some land at an area called Bdote. Bdote is where the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers meet. Let's take a look at where this is located. So Bdote is Dakota land where the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers meet. So here you can see where the two rivers meet. You can see Bdote there in this map. And this is actually a current map from Google. If you have ever gone to historic Fort Snelling, you've been near Bdote, right? I actually, whenever I travel to the Twin Cities, I take this road, 55, and I cross the Mendota Bridge here, and I can look out to Bdote. But Bdote is the place where two rivers meet, and this was believed by many to be the origin of the Dakota people. It was a place of celebration and trade, and Pike camped there on what is now called Pike Island, Bdote, and he camped out there and he thought, hey, this would be a nice place for a fort. So again, you can see the Sibley House historic site here on the map, and Henry Sibley was head of the entire American Fur Company operation in Minnesota, and here in Mendota were the headquarters. So every year furs were brought to Mendota from all over the region. Now Sibley had kinship ties with his suppliers, as he had a daughter with a Dakota woman who was granddaughter of a local Dakota chief. And in fact, the Dakota Nation surrounded this outpost. They surrounded this outpost in the area of Bdote. So there is a video on Bdote here. It's named Minnesota's first national treasure. We'll look at that in a future Class Connect. But Bdote was sacred. It was a sacred place for Dakota people. So again, Zebulon Pike camped here at Bdote, near what is now Fort Snelling, and he thought it would be a good place for a fort. So he did, in fact, get the land to build that fort. So in 1805, in hopes to get the land, Zebulon Pike met with 7 leaders that were from the area near Bdote. He gave them gifts of clothing and tools, and Pike asked the leaders if he could buy the land for a fort. The leaders discussed it, and not everybody agreed that selling the land to the U.S. government would be a good idea or a good deal. But 2 of the leaders, just 2 of them, 2 of the 7, ended up signing a document granting the U.S. 2 small areas of land, including that area that we just saw and up to St. Anthony Falls. The other small piece of land was near the St. Croix River, which was just downriver from the location we were looking at when we looked at the map of Bdote. So Pike gave the Dakota leaders about $200 in trading goods, but they didn't decide on a final price of the land itself. It took until 1808 for the U.S. government to ratify or approve the treaty, and then it was decided that $2,000 would be paid to the Dakota. So the U.S. government gave $2,000 for the land years after the treaty was made, though it wasn't sent right away, and the fort wasn't built right away either. So let's take a look at the map here for where this land that we're talking about is. So again, this agreement would grant just 2 small areas of land, including that land that we first saw, right, where the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers meet. All right, so that area that is known as Bdote, okay, and then also land over by the St. Croix River, another small piece of land was part of the treaty. All right, so here is our schedule for the week. I will be back in the office tomorrow on the 7th, so we will have an optional Class Connect, and then you have your quiz on Friday. So I'll hold targeted instruction on Friday, and if you're invited to that, it is required, but if not, then you just have your quiz to complete. Do make sure that you complete your exit ticket quiz. I'll give you that password here in a moment, and make sure that you have your reading checkpoints, and of course the reading from Monday and Tuesday completed as well. So here is today's password, and it is in fact Bdote, B-D-O-T-E. That is the password that you'll enter in when you're prompted to, when you access the quiz for today. Make sure you fill that out thoroughly. If you have any questions, please send me an email. I'll be back in the office tomorrow, and I'll be responding to emails, and I hope to see you in sessions later this week. Bye everyone, have a great day.